Hello, my name is Lucas Fowler. I am going to do a pair of videos here demonstrating how to make pegs for timber framing. I prefer to use hand-riven pegs for a lot of reasons. They are very strong. They have a lot of that. They add that handmade quality to the frame that I really like. But it does require a little bit of process and work. What you'll need to make pegs is the appropriate wood. This is red oak. This is my preferred wood. I've made pegs out of ash and some other woods, but oak is great. The grain in oak runs parallel to itself, or to other pieces of grain, versus some other species of wood like beech and birch where the grain is actually crossing. That makes it really easy to split. It does these big long blanks like this that are really great. A Froe. I imagine you could figure out a way to make pegs without a Froe, but this makes it way easier. These are old tools. I used to use these to make shingles and all kinds of different things, but this is just a process of splitting the wood along these long lines. So, this is about a foot long, and you could do these long, big blanks, which would be very hard to achieve on with an axe or something like that. I do have a big hammer for driving the Froe. You could use anything, a big beetle. Any kind of mallet would be fine. Metal is okay. It's very loud and it tends to damage the edge, the top edge of the Froe, so it's not a great use of a metal sledgehammer. I have a little axe. I'll show you what I use that for in a minute. And then a ruler. I'm making 1-inch pegs. This is a 1.1 wide ruler. The reason for that is because the blanks that you get when you use a simple 1-inch rule tend to be a little small, or at least I think they're a little small. And I want a little more wood to work with when I get to the shave horse. So this is an 1.1 inch. What I've done is I've just done a series of grids across here. I didn't get crazy with making them square to each other. I guess you could, but I just find it not necessary. If these are a little bit trapezoidal in shape, it's not going to matter that much. I mean, obviously, really trapezoidal would be a problem, but nothing to get too crazy about. And then I'm just using the Froe to kind of whittle it down and get to the blanks that I'm going to bring over the shave horse and get in the shave horse. So this is, you can see it's not a full round. You need to get it down to a manageable size. Something, in the neighborhood. This is a good size. This is 8 by 6. I just used a splitting maul and just whacked it down into a better size. So this is what it looks like. All you do is just grab the Froe and just kind of line it up on those grid lines and then smack it. It's not super hard. You can see it takes a couple of whacks. So now it's getting started. So now you can see it's starting to split the wood, but it hasn't gone all the way down. Driving it a couple more times. And then the reason it has this unique L shape is that you can use it to, you should be able to use it to split, grab the handle, there it goes, and split that apart. So you can see as I do that motion, it increases that width. And it tends to be sharp enough you can just kind of go down through there, and there we go. So now I've got this blank. Now you could do that partial split, keep it together, and then do a whole bunch more and then go across the other way, but I find that very difficult. I find that these blanks, when they're next to each other, tend to want to shift a little bit so that the lines going across the other way don't line up. So I just take them and break it off into these individual little booklets, or I don't know what you want to call them. And then you just set the Froe back in there on those smaller lines and just tap that through. So there's a blank. The advantage, here's the big reason why you want to split these out and not saw these out. It's tempting to just put this on a bandsaw mill and do a bunch of 1-inch by 1-inch cubes. Here's the reason why. You can see that this is curving. So when I start that Froe in at the top like this, that split follows the grain, so that all the different little grain pieces or strings, you could think of wood like strings glued together, I guess. So all the strings that start here all end up here. if you were to saw this and take a straight line, there'd be a whole bunch of little pieces of grain that would start here and then just end up going out the surface of that cut. That makes it much weaker, the finished product, much weaker. Obviously, this is not a great shape for certain applications. If you needed something super straight, splitting things out is not the way to go. But for this, it's perfect. And having a little bit of a curved peg, I actually like it. I think it really shows that this is not a manufactured product, that this is something that you took the time to make by hand. And it also happens to be the way that they made pegs for thousands of years, so that also has a benefit to it. You can also use, at this point in time, since you're not doing those long lines, you can use something smaller like a little hand axe like this. This is just a basic, I got this at the hardware store, nothing fancy. And same process, you're just splitting them out. So now I've got this is a great one. You can see I've got a little bit of grain run out, so these strings are starting here and ending here. I'll get rid of that when I go to the shave horse so that I have continuous grain from one end to the next. You can see that in the profile here, that the grain here is ending and they're ending. So sometimes the splitting out with the Froe it's not a scientific process. It's kind of a go by feel process. But yeah, there's the blank. So I'm going to split out a bunch more, and then I'll take these over to the shave horse and I'll show you how that process works. This has been. Oh, if you have any other questions or want to see what these actually end up being used for, please go to my website, lioncreekdesign.com, and thank you very much.